Thank you for joining us this week for our final review of our annual designs for the 2022 season, which is Canada's Year of the Garden, as well as our 90th anniversary here at the International Peace Gardens. I'm Michelle Burnett and I live in Ninga, Manitoba.
I'm Georgia Bonster and I live near Boissevain, Manitoba.
And we are both display garden horticulturists here at the International Peace Gardens. Next year's theme is music and the arts, as we welcome back the International Music Camp.
So to give you a bit of an idea of our design process, we start by choosing a theme and we begin designs for the following year in fall. Then we decide which varieties we want to use based on their size, color, and texture. Following this, we calculate how many plants we need and put our order in for spring. In a typical year, we receive the plants as seedlings and grow them in our greenhouses, but due to the cacti being housed there during the conservatory expansion, we'll be purchasing them as mature plants next year. In June, our horticulture crew plants between 70 and 100,000 annuals, aiming to finish by July. Once we complete planting, we maintain the annual and perennial beds by weeding, pruning, spraying, and of course, irrigation. We're very thankful for the volunteers, visitors, and sponsor support that ensures our small nonprofit organization can bring you beautiful displays each year.
So today we'll be covering the West Hill, which is located on the west side of Sunken Garden. This is the first two beds as you come through the gates. We're going to be doing a taller back row closest to the channel of these dark blood red zinnias. Along in front of that will be some rudbeckia, and we will also be doing some of that silvery dusty miller as a border. Next, we have the American flag, which is located on the south side of the channel. This year, we've changed up the design slightly. We've made the lines larger so that you can see them from farther away. We'll be using some begonias, some dusty miller, and some midnight petunias. This is the Canadian flag that is located on the north side of the channel. And this year we're going to be using some dusty miller rather than petunias as the backdrop. And we'll also be using some really compact begonias to keep the shape of the maple leaf nice and tight and firm.
So this is another bed on the West Hill. A lot of these beds are too small to do any intricate designs, so we usually just do a filler and a border. So the filler on this bed is the nice tall golden rudbeckia, and then the border, we've got that bright blue salvia. So these two beds actually have the same plants in them. So we've got begonias as the border on these, and then that same blue salvia in the center. Now these two beds are closer to the end of the channel, which is across from the 9/11 memorial site. So these beds we usually try and go with red and white colors. So we've got some red begonias, some silver dust to give us that kind of silvery white border, and then again that airy flowy gora in the back of the one bed.
So this is another bed located farther up on the West Hill. The idea behind it is a pinwheel, and there will also be some metal structures, musical instruments in this bed. We're going to be using some of that really dark foliage for the coleus, the dark purple for the salvia, and that flowy, kind of lacy looking dusty miller as the border. These two beds are right across from each other on either side of the channel. And we're going to be using rudbeckia as the taller, larger plant in the backdrop or in the center. And then we'll be using some coleus as the border and the front plant. And these two beds are a little farther down the West Hill as well. We're going to be using some coleus in the center and Dusty Miller as the border. And the larger bed, we're going to fill with salvia.
So these two beds are our very last design beds. And these are located on the bottom terrace. So for these two, we are actually going to use mannequins and then create a living skirt out of chicken wire and sphagnum moss. And then we'll be planting sedum in the sphagnum moss to create a dark burgundy skirt that is actually living. And then surrounding the mannequins, we'll be planting dark burgundy tidal wave petunias, and they get really big and fluffy to give it lots of texture. So on the south side, we'll be using a child-sized mannequin, and on the north side, we'll be using an adult-sized mannequin. Once again, thank you for looking over all these designs. If anyone has any ideas, you're more than welcome to comment. As always, we appreciate your support as viewers and visitors and encourage you to consider sponsoring a bed and becoming a member of the garden. If you, your company, or organization would like to sponsor one of our 2022 annual beds, please contact development@peacegarden.com. Thanks again for going through these designs with us. It was really enjoyable.